Got it. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on how to grow your email list. We'll be covering some tips and best practices to grow your email list. Here at the SBDC, we exist to train, educate, and support entrepreneurs of both new, pre-venture, and established small businesses. We're positioned within the nationwide network of SBDCs, and we offer resources, key connections at the state and national level, workshops, and online and in-person support that equips us to help Ocean State entrepreneurs reach the next level of growth. Today, we're going to be diving into email marketing, and email marketing is one of the best ways to build a relationship with your potential customer. And when we think of businesses and the 5 core functions that each business needs to grow, that's lead generation, lead nurture, conversion, delivery, and retention, upsell. Email marketing covers 4 of those 5 core functions, and it could technically come in the delivery aspect of it, but usually those emails are treated separately from email marketing. So we're going to talk about how it affects those 4 core functions. And virtually every industry can benefit from building and nurturing an email list. And this gives you a direct line of communication directly to your potential customers. And this could be customers who have not purchased and customers who have purchased in the past, but you could re-nurture for them to make a repeat purchase. And email marketing is one of the easiest ways to be able to build this business because it doesn't require a lot of the daily lift that some of the other channels, such as social media marketing, could require. And email marketing has one of the highest ROIs in the business. It's higher than social media, it's higher than paid marketing, it's higher than blogging. On average, for every dollar you put into email marketing, you can get between $35 to $42 back. Some of those metrics tend to be on the lower side, and it really is industry specific. And just a couple of few extra stats, 99% of consumers check their email every single day. So if you think about your email habits, how often you're in your email, some of us are in there multiple times a day. And email is used by over 4 billion people worldwide. This is especially important if you have clients outside of the United States, you're able to reach them. There are some additional privacy laws that you have to abide if you're doing email marketing outside of the US. And in general, your audience wants to hear from you, but they just don't want to be bombarded with spam, right? So if you're sending emails that don't provide some type of value, you're likely going to have a higher unsubscribe rate. So I'm going to start this presentation off with a big disclaimer. You want to make sure that all of your marketing efforts come from a place of service first. You have this incredible opportunity to speak directly to your audience in their inbox, but you want to make sure that you're doing so respectfully and it's client-centered. Every single area of your marketing plan should be client-centered. It's not about you. It's about who you're serving and what their needs are and their wants. So I want to make sure when you're going into email marketing, you're thinking in terms of how can you best serve your clients and potential clients. So the very first step is your offer, and we're going to cover 5 ways to grow your email list plus the little bonus. So the first one is a pop-up. You'll see these on most websites when you visit. They'll like a piece of little code you place on it will pop up, and it invites users to subscribe to your list. And this is a really low barrier to entry because they don't have to leave your website in order to exchange this information. So if you don't have a pop-up currently employed, I recommend you start with a pop-up. And on average, pop-ups have about close to a 4% conversion rate. Which isn't super high, but if you think about your number in terms of how much traffic you get, then you could kind of back into those numbers. So sometimes it really is a combination of you doing some traffic growth strategies in conjunction with email, with these pop-ups. Because if you have 5 people visit your page, your conversion is going to be, almost zero, or you might not get any opt-ins. But if you have 1,000 people on your page every day, then you can get potentially between 7 and 8 new people on your list every day. And if you think of how that compounds in exponential growth, there's real opportunity here. So you just want to make sure you're thinking it in terms of what your website is currently getting for traffic. Here's an example of a pop-up. This is one of my favorite sites, Social Media Examiner, and they provide a lot of great free content on just marketing in general. And this was a really great example of pop-up. It has a really catchy headline. You can see an image there, so you kind of get an idea of what you're going to be getting, even though it's not a physical product. It has a small description, 100% free 40-page report. You know exactly what's going to hit your inbox, and they're inviting you to download it for free, or you have the opportunity to say, actually, you don't want the latest trend. So this has like a little bit of psychology built into it, because it's giving the user the opportunity, because it hurts a little bit if you click on the, I don't want to know the latest trends. It's like, oh, but do you? So this was an example of a really great pop-up. The second way to grow your email list is with an opt-in form. And this is a way to attract high-value prospects with useful content. So the keyword here is useful content. So you want to make sure when you're offering this information that it's valuable content to your potential client. And these can be blogs, infographics, YouTube videos, trainings. There's all different types of content you can offer for someone in exchange for their email. In the industry, it's called like an ethical bribe, right? You're saying, I'm going to give you this super important information that's going to help you solve this problem in exchange for your email. This is an example of a opt-in form. This lives right on the website. So this differs from a pop-up, where a pop-up is when you visit a site, and either when you first land on a site, or if you start to navigate away or close out, then the pop-up will come up. An opt-in form lives right on your website. And when people go to your page, it'll be right there. If you think of these in terms of like landing pages, or if it's like the home page, you'll usually have an opt-in. So this was a really great example of an opt-in, because it's asking for these 2 crucial pieces of information, your name and email address. And then on the left, you get the image of the person, who makes it a little bit more personable. And then also the great header, sign up for the fortune frenzy. And then the little subheader underneath, so you understand what you're getting. And this one is by ConvertKit. It's a free email marketing software that you can create opt-ins and pop-ups and landing pages. And it's a great platform that's linked right here. If you hover over this, you can click on it and it'll take you directly to ConvertKit. So gated content is an extension of the opt-in. So we're kind of building up here, right? The lowest barrier is a pop-up. Then we have the opt-in, and then we have what is known as gated content. And this is information that you're giving out for free. And it usually is a little bit more in depth, right? So industry reports, ebooks, guides, master classes. And the way these work is this information is not crawled by Google. So there are some pros and cons to having gated content. So some pros is it can increase lead generation, because you have piqued their curiosity. They want that information and they're willing to give you their email for it. And usually these email addresses, these people tend to be a little bit more qualified. So they tend to lead to more sales. And then it also provides analytics right into the behavior of your customers. If you have several different gated content pieces, like say you have an example on how to grow an email list, and you also have a gated content on how to create videos from your iPhone, and you're noticing that you're getting more opt-ins than one or the other, this is giving you insight onto what your potential customers are looking for. And this allows for further email segmentation. The cons is that your page views and traffic will be lower, because there is that barrier to access your content, and there's no SEO benefit. It's not like you could optimize those pages. They're not crawled by Google. This is an example of gated content, again, from Social Media Examiner, and they're going to give you a report on all of the data you're missing. So if you enter your first name and email, it segments you automatically based on like the data funnel. You're interested in data, you're interested in reports. This also helps them figure out what their users are looking for. And if you go to their website and kind of browse around their page, every different topic has a different gated piece of content. So if you were searching for email marketing versus Facebook ads versus SEO, some of the gated content is different, and that helps them decide what users are looking for and the types of emails they should be sending you. So exclusive deals, this is another way to get people to join your email list. When you have something insider or exclusive, people love to have access and to feel special and VIP. And this doesn't always have to be a sales or a promotion or a coupon. It could be limited time offers. It could be if you ever have been on an email list for a product that comes in, like say they only produce 100 of it and it goes to the first 100 people. You can have special offers for people who are on your email list versus none. So some of these could be like pre-sales, product launches, new arrivals, seasonal campaigns, giveaways. There's all different ways to have exclusive deals. This is a great example from Tory Burch, where she's having a private sale, and the only way you can access that is if you share your email address with them. Another great example is from Oribe, and they are asking for your email address, and then you'll know before anyone else some of the information's on their news offers and their style tips. I'm going to take a quick break for questions to see if anyone has any questions. I don't see any in the chat. If you have a question, you can pop it in the chat. Another way to grow your list is with quizzes. So this is a really fun way to grow your list because it kind of takes some of that guesswork out of defining your ideal avatar. Sometimes we can get in the weeds of figuring out who our ideal or our unicorn client is. And when we put quizzes out, we kind of get that information because they're answering for us. This is your opportunity to ask your potential client anything you want to know. And quizzes usually have a conversion rate of 50%. And this can help you create like great segmentation into your email list. And that really allows you to do some really customized messaging in with your emails. So here's an example from Amy Porterfield. She's another marketing person that I recommend all the time. She has great content, and she has this great quiz where she will like ask you certain questions about your business and then give, based on your answers, give you a 3-step roadmap on how to launch your business. So it segments people into 3 different groups, from very beginning to middle of the road to advanced, and then she's able to tailor her content to the user. So a bonus is ads. Using ads is a great way to grow your list because you're able to grow it at a faster rate. So this is not a substitution for any of the other 5 tactics I mentioned, but this is a way to expedite the growth of your list. So if you have any one of the opt-ins, pop-up, exclusive deals, if you have any of those 5 strategies in place, ads can basically can accelerate your results. So this is not something I recommend you start with unless you already have all of your segmentation and all of that figured out. Otherwise, you're going to have users that are disappointed with how quickly they're getting emails. So this is a great example of an ad using to grow the email list. So they're asking you to download some free tips on how to use your workspace at home, right? So this one is a free download, and this is a great way to grow your list. Usually lead ads, you could probably generate leads. It depends for between 50 cents upwards, depending on your industry. So it really depends on the type of product or service you have and your price point to figure out if it makes sense to pay $1 for a lead. If your product is only $10, it might not make sense. But if you have a product that's more higher end, it might make sense to spend a couple dollars for a lead. So I'm going to take a quick break to go through the questions, and All right. One question, and you can come off mute if you want. I'm going to go down the list. Is that Marisa or Marissa? Your question
Yes.
is, you want to come off mute and just ask your
Yep,
question?
sure.
Hey.
Hi. So I have a website through Square and I do in-person pop-ups. So basically I'm looking for a way to kind of the easiest way to get email from my customers that are already purchasing my products
Mm-hmm.
to be able to kind of keep them in the loop. And I didn't know if you could suggest like a certain platform or.
Yeah, great question. So right now, when you are doing emails, is it just transactional email? So somebody makes a purchase and you send a transactional email?
Yeah, it's through Square, so they kind of handle that.
Yep.
But I wanted to like, I know I have a list going, but it's not like I'm specifically asking them, do you want to sign up for my email list so we can keep in touch and I can keep you updated on where I'll be and what new products I have, that kind of thing.
So I have two recommendations. One is when they're going through the checkout process to include an opt-in form right on the buyer's information. So when they're opting in, you can add a little box at the end that's like a check mark and just say you're agreeing to subscribe to our marketing emails.
Okay.
That would be the first step I would take, and people kind of go through it and check everything. Don't make it a requirement to move forward, because if people don't want to be on your email list, you don't want to prohibit that sale. And
Sure.
the second recommendation I have is in those transactional emails, you can have an option. It's called the double opt-in, where you have like at the bottom of the email, like if you want to stay in the know and get insider or exclusive deals, click here and it'll take them to a place to opt in.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
those
like,
would be the two ways. As far as platforms,
yeah,
how big is your list?
I mean, it's probably only like 30 or 40 people at this point.
No, that's great. So I would recommend starting with one of the free ones like MailChimp, ConvertKit. I think MailerLite is another free one. There are pros and cons to each. I personally really like ConvertKit because you have the option for landing pages. I think their landing page builder is a little bit better than MailChimp, but I would recommend starting with a free one. And then, you know, as you grow your list, you might need to get something paid, but for a list that small, I don't think it's worth like an Active Campaign or an Infusionsoft.
All right.
Does that make sense?
That was kind of like,
there you go.
I'm not getting, yeah, I'm kind of in and out. I'm sorry. Is this going to be recorded so I can go back and like, okay, perfect.
Yep. So this will be recorded and the slides will be sent out.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, ConvertKit is what I got out of it.
Yeah, ConvertKit, MailChimp, there are a bunch of free ones.
I've tried MailChimp. I wasn't that like crazy about it.
Yeah, I personally like ConvertKit better than MailChimp.
Okay, maybe I'll try that.
Yeah, I like their landing pages better. I feel like it's easier to create templates in ConvertKit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll try that. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Okay, Rick, if you want to come off mute and ask your question, or if you just prefer I read it, it's completely up to you.
No, that's fine. I can certainly do that. Thank you. I appreciate it. So my question is more, I've done email marketing in the past, and one of the challenges I find is actually be on a consistent basis creating value, because clearly, as you've suggested, I don't want to just talk about my business because people will be bored in 30 seconds. So I was hoping you might have some suggestions of how I could do that.
And Rick, what industry are you in?
Commercial finance.
Okay, hi. I just wanted to make sure. Hi, Rick.
Hi.
Good to see you on here. So I would, when you're thinking about the types of content, and that's like a real roadblock that a lot of us business owners have, right? Like providing things over and over again, and how do you like not bore them? I would keep people up to date on like industry trends, and then really maybe think about how frequently you're sending your emails. Like there are some businesses that can benefit from sending out like multiple emails a week or one email a week versus some businesses who don't need their frequency to be that high.
Okay.
So I would also, one thing I like to do is opt in to my competitors and just look at the type of content they're offering to kind of get ideas of what everyone else is doing. And then this can kind of give you an idea of the type of content your industry is looking for. And then you can go out and find better stuff.
Right. Okay. Well, I've done some of that, and I notice a lot of my competitors do blogging, but I find the challenge is that unless I give up sleeping, it's finding the time during the day to, do 4,000 different things. So that's why I thought the email marketing would be more effective and stuff. So, and then
Yeah.
my
How
other question,
often, but how often are you currently sending out emails?
I do it once a month.
Okay.
But to be candid with you, I know one of my drawbacks is I'm not doing it consistently. And as I said, that's why, because I have the problem of coming up with, creative value-added ideas for my customers. But so I will try that.
Yeah, and you can just frame it as like a monthly roundup. So that way it doesn't feel like a random monthly email. You could say like on the first Friday of every month, you can expect, or the last Friday, whenever, you can expect the monthly roundup, or you can expect an email, just to kind of set expectations.
Okay, I certainly will do that. Thank you. And then my other question was, at the beginning, you gave the ROI of anywhere from $35 to $42 per dollar spent. And I'm just kind of curious, do you know over what time period that ROI was calculated?
Yeah, so the time period tends to be a little bit longer. So on average, if you're like putting out consistent content, it could be anywhere, like in some of like the online teaching spaces, like coursework and content creators, those can be much shorter, right? Like those can be accelerated between like 3 and 6 months, right? They operate in the space of like multiple launches. So they're doing launch after launch after launch, like relaunching the same product.
Okay.
That ROI could be a little bit faster because they're list building with the intention to launch a product to them. For some of the other industries like commercial financing and some of those where they're like the cycle of purchase is much longer,
Right.
then it's obviously pushed out significantly. So it really depends on the buying cycle of your customer. If it's a shorter buying cycle, right? Like if somebody is going to like buy a $40 book or a $50 course, it's the psychology behind buying and the buying cycle is going to be much shorter than if you're, a loan or,
Right.
buying a house or, like a $5,000 course. It really depends on the average cycle for purchase.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great. Any other questions? I see a hand up.
So I'm a writer, and I've been using email marketing for years. And what I found is when I share my writing, the stories and books that I write, people read it, they enjoy it, and then they never pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how to sort of lower expectations and tease them into actually buying stuff, as opposed, because everybody says provide content, but my content is what I'm selling. I'm not providing content in order to sell a mortgage or another service. It's like, I'm a writer, I write things, they're good, I want you to buy the book. Any suggestions? I mean, I've been doing it literally for decades with close to zero in the way of effective sales.
Yep. So how long are your books on average?
They range from short fiction to fat novels, and they're all different. I mean, I have books for young people, books for parents, books for children, and books for adults. So I have different niches as well.
Yep.
But it's been consistent through all of them that I don't see much in the way of return sales.
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, I think you have to probably clean up your list a little bit for segmentation for because the type of content you're going to need to offer for like a longer, you said, did you call it juicy fat novel, a fat juicy, what were the words you used?
Yeah.
I don't want to butcher your words.
Okay.
That type of content versus like a shorter excerpt for like a shorter story. So the content you offer for the different levels of your writing is going to be different. And then also I've seen work with authors where they just offer like one chapter as the lead gen, or like an additional like coursework that they get when they purchase the book, or like a guided read, or like a add-on to the actual purchase, like they get a freebie or a bonus when they purchase the book. And then to really operate in that launch phase, like the pre-launch, getting the juicy content, getting them interested to launch, and then kind of open cart and getting in that cycle is what I've seen work for a lot of authors. And but it really also is dependent on like fiction. The content you have to offer is different from people who are selling like planners and those kind of things. So I would really look at, one is list segmentation, and then different ways you could tease people, because you don't want to give away the whole shebang, right?
Right.
You want to make sure that you're like teasing, and then start to look at like, what are your call to actions within the emails? Like, are you tracking what people are clicking? Are you tracking their behavior on your site? And really start to go through and dig deeper in all of those metrics.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other questions before we move on? All right, perfect. Pop them in the chat if you do. All right, now we're going to talk about engaging your subscribers. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a welcome sequence, because when people are giving you their information, their expectation is they're going to get something in their inbox almost immediately. So if you don't nurture that list and welcome them, you're going to have wasted your time that you put together designing your pop-up, your opt-in, or your freebie. And this will also be instrumental in like how long people stay subscribe to your list, because there will be turnover, there will be people who drop off, but this will also affect your unsubscribe rate. So if somebody's giving you their email and you're taking 4 months to actually send them an email, they're going to get that email and forget that they opted into your list, and then mark you as spam or unsubscribed, and then your quality score will begin to drop. So the first thing you want to do is create a welcome sequence. This could be anywhere from like 1 to 3 emails where you're just like building trust with them, sharing your story, getting to know them a little bit better. And this will help reduce your unsubscribe rate. So just some email statistics. So the average open rate for a welcome email is 50%. And that's like almost 80% higher than just standard newsletters. So when you look at open rates, so some of the things you want to track is like open rates, your click-through rates, depending on the type of emails you're sending. You know, if you have videos in your emails, you could track like how much video they're watching, but really you want to look at your open rate and your click-through rate. 76 people expect a welcome email. Have you ever opted into an email list for a discount and then you don't get the discount, and then you're waiting there, your cart is full waiting to make a purchase, and you're waiting on your 10% off? How frustrating is that? And how long did you wait before you went to a competitor or found the same or similar product somewhere else? So these are the things you want to think about. And then people who get their email and receive it and read it, they're 40% more likely to engage with the brand over time. So what that means, if they get a great welcome email and they feel like they're enjoying your content, they're more likely to stay engaged with your brand. So step 3, add value. So don't let your list be idle. As I said earlier, if you have these long periods of time where you're not engaging your audience, you have to warm them back up, and that takes time. So if you keep them hot and ready, you don't have to do all of the work of rewarming them up. So share something that makes your subscribers list better. Is it a story? Is it a lesson? Is it a recipe? Is it a tip? Is it a hack? Is it a discount? Is it something that very industry specific that you figured out that nobody else is talking about right now? So you want to make sure that your content is very narrowly focused. Don't go off on random topics. If you sell silver coins, your emails should be largely around currency, metals, precious metals. You know, if you do numismatics, all of those things. Keep your content very specific. If you sell silver coins, you don't want to start to talk about, you know, shoe shining. You know, you want to keep it all very niche down. And then you want to pay very close attention to what your audience wants. And the way you do this is you're tracking your open rates. So your, subject lines, and then clicks? Like, are you asking them to take action in your email? Like, are you asking them to listen to a podcast? Are you asking them to go to a blog post? Are you asking them to go to a YouTube channel? Start to track if they're following through, and then that'll give you an idea of what types of content they're looking for. And then don't just be promotional. You want to give a whole lot more value. And this can seem very labor intensive, because it is. You're doing this heavy lifting with the anticipation that eventually you're going to get to that 35 to 42 per dollar spent. But really don't let all of your emails be promotional. Let them have an opportunity to get to know you and build a relationship with you. So before I go to conclusion, it looks like Marissa, you have another question. Do you want to come off mute?
Sure. I was just wondering, as far as like doing an email or a newsletter, if there's a specific day of the week or of the month that works better that you've found out.
Yeah, great question. So this really is industry specific, and with a lot of the email service providers, they're called ESPs, you're able to test that out. So you're able to say, send out emails, different days of the week, different times, and it'll start to aggregate the data and say, for your audience, you get the most opens at Tuesday at 10 a.m. So all of the email providers have that capability, just to test out, because it really does depend on your industry and your audience and the expectation you set. So if when people are opting in, if you say like every Monday, you're going to get a meditation, people know on Monday to expect the meditation. But if you say every Monday you're going to get a meditation and you don't send it to Tuesday or Thursday, people are going to stop opening your emails because they're not getting what they expected. So it's just going to take some testing. What industry are you in?
So I have a zero waste shop, so it's like retail.
Yep. Yeah. So you might just have to test. I would also look at like different shopping trends, like what day of the week are you noticing, or what time of the day you're noticing users come to your website more, and start looking at trends there. Because if you notice Wednesday at 4 o'clock, people are hanging out on your website, then maybe you want to get them some content before then so they can come and look at what's new, or come look at like your new line or any promotions you have going on. So I would start with the data you have to make those decisions. And then if you find your open rates are dropping, or if people are not engaging, you might have to tweak it.
Okay, thank you.
Great questions. And then Rick, do you want to pop off mute? I see you have another question.
I do. You actually covered some of it. So since I do commercial finance, I try to stick within a subject matter of things of interest to business owners. Is that too broad, or how do I kind of figure out what makes sense and what does not?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways you can do this. One is if you are doing like what I call like tangible topics, that they're not exactly your focus, but they're related, right? The example I gave earlier was like if you do if you sell silver coins, like things that could be related are like market trends and the value of currency. But if you're noticing that, you're giving information on things that you think would interest business and people are not clicking through, I would just say that's a clue not to post it. But I think in a space like yours, you could be a little bit more broad than most, right? Like you could be more broad than somebody who say is a dentist who only does dental implants, right? Like their topics would be way more narrow than commercial financing, which, it could be anything, could be shopping centers, could be a local mom and pops, it could be anything.
Well, I'll give you a quick example. Like I sent out one and it was about being a manager and ways to deal with employees. So it's related to a business owner, but in your opinion, would you think, is that too broad, or should I not go into that type of subject matter, or what would you think?
I would think that's too broad. You would have to reduce it maybe to something that has to do with financing, right? Like how like your management style can impact bottom line, or something to bring it back to like the finance, because the subject itself is broad, but if you somehow bring it back to like revenue loss or how you can boost productivity or something to do with finance, I think you can make that work.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So in conclusion, we all know that every time a user comes to your website does not mean they're always ready to make a purchase. So you want to make sure that while they get ready to buy, you're taking the time to build that relationship with them and get them prepped to buy, right? You're allowed to have this conversation with them casually, where you're kind of building them up to be ready to purchase from you. And if you don't have this in place, not everybody's here at the right exact time, but if you're taking the time to nurture them, that whole nurture aspect of lead generation, show up in their inbox, and then you can strategically educate them and drop little nuggets along the way to get them ready to buy. And in bold letters, build a relationship. You want to make sure not everything is promotional, that you're really taking the time to get to know your user. I know some industries where they're able to take success stories from their clients and put it in and kind of have that validation and testimony format. Look at creative ways to engage your audience so they don't always feel like they're being sold to. Here are some resources. They're all clickable. So when you get this presentation, you can click through them all. Alex Sharfin is one of my favorite business mentors. MailChimp has a really great little article on how to build your email list. And even if you don't use that platform, they do give some really cool tips. HubSpot has some great information on great gated content and how to create that. ConvertKit, very similar to the MailChimp, but that's teaching you how to grow your email list. And then Social Media Examiner has a great article on how to use Facebook ads to grow your email list. So I just wanted to give you some additional resources so you could take your learning to the next level. I am going to open the floor up for questions again. And I want to thank you all for coming. This will be in your email soon. As soon as everything's downloaded and ready to go, Elena will send it to you. But I just want to say thank you for taking your time out on this Thursday morning to be with us. And if you have any additional questions, or if you'd like to dig in a little bit deeper, please reach out to Elena and she can connect us and we can work together to come up with a strategy specific for you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.